Welcome to the new video podcast of our journey through Azeroth's history. Welcome to a world where every chapter is marked by the exploits of heroes, the clash of civilizations, and the looming shadows of an ancient evil. Today we delve into the mysterious halls of Dalaran, where the Guardian Aegwynn battled the forces of the Burning Legion, to the heart of Ironforge, where the War of the Three Hammers shaped the destiny of the Dwarven houses. Journey with us through tonight's episode, where guardian mages and proud Dwarven clans shaped the destiny of Azeroth, each leaving an indelible mark on the realm's storied history. Pick up your heartstone once again, make yourself comfortable, and listen to today's story. The Guardian Aegwynn. Over time in Dalaran, new guardians of Tirisfal came and went. Some retired peacefully, while others perished in their relentless fight against the Burning Legion's agents. However, Dalaran stayed secure under the watchful eye of the Guardian. Scavel, a brilliant mage, was one of the last guardians. At the end of his century of service, he couldn't find a suitable successor. Worried about the potential risks during the search for a new guardian, the Council of Tirisfal requested Scavel to remain in his position. Reluctantly, he agreed, acknowledging that the century of service was a tradition, not a law. The relationship between Scavel and the Council remained strong, and together, they continued protecting the world from the Legion's threats. After many years, Scavel finally found a group of apprentices who might succeed him. Among them was Aegwynn, a human woman who quickly distinguished herself as the most skilled and dedicated. With Scavel's blessing, the Council of Tirisfal bestowed the title of guardianship upon her. She immediately started banishing the forces of darkness. Aegwynn was a brilliant guardian, but she was also stubborn and bull-headed in her relations with the Council of Tirisfal. Her deep-seated distrust of authority figures often put her at odds with the elder mages. Ignoring their recommendations and advice, Aegwynn forged her own path during her long years as guardian. The Council of Tirisfal was not troubled by her demeanor. The mages knew that Aegwynn was a sorceress without equal, a prodigy capable of wielding massive amounts of arcane energy. Her effectiveness as guardian outweighed her unpredictability and penchant for disobedience. Near the end of her century of service, Aegwynn sensed a dark presence in the icy lands of Northrend. Traveling there, she discovered demons hunting blue dragons, feeding on their potent arcane energies. The dragons, mighty as they were, couldn't withstand the Legion's cunning and power. Aegwynn immediately journeyed to Wyrmrest Temple, the hallowed shrine of all dragons, calling on them to honor their sacred pact. Led by Alexstrasza the Lifebinder, several dragonflights agreed to fight at the Guardian's side. They staged an ambush near the gigantic skeletal remains of Galakrond. The demons fell into Aegwynn's trap. As a blizzard tore over the terrain, the Guardian and her winged allies overwhelmed the Legion's minions. However, neither Aegwynn nor the dragons expected what came next. The skies of Northrend churned and darkened. A monstrous demonic form of Sargeras, ruler of the Burning Legion, emerged from Earth. Though only an avatar, a tiny portion of his vast cosmic power, he radiated great strength and fury. He unleashed his terrible might on Aegwynn, intending to destroy the Guardian who had thwarted his agents for so long. Aegwynn didn't hesitate to fight back. She summoned her powers and brought them to bear against Sargeras. The ensuing battle, fought in the shadow of Galakrond's gargantuan remains, tore the darkened skies asunder and scarred the icy crust of Northrend. A storm of magic engulfed the region, holding even the mighty dragons at bay. With a final relentless flurry of spellwork, Aegwynn defeated her foe, though drained from the effort, or so it seemed. When Aegwynn struck Sargeras down, he transferred his spirit into her weakened body. A sliver of Sargeras's undying malevolence would remain, lurking within the depths of her soul. Unaware of the dark presence hidden deep within her, Aegwynn gathered Sargeras's colossal broken form, to seal it away where it could harm no one else. She considered many locations as the Demon Lord's final resting place. In the end, she chose the ancient night elven city of Suramar, some of which had been blasted to the bottom of the sea during the Sundering. During the War of the Ancients, the Legion had tried to open a gateway within Suramar itself. This plan was foiled by a sect of Highborn led by Grand Magistrate Zelisand. These powerful sorcerers created a series of enchanted seals to close the demon's portal and also negate nearby fell energies. When the Sundering later tore through the world, the part of Suramar containing the Legion's failed gateway was sucked beneath the waves. It was these lost ruins that drew Aegwynn's attention. Knowing that the Highborn's seals would nullify whatever evil still lingered in Sargeras's avatar, she buried the Demon Lord's broken body within the sunken portion of Suramar. Aegwynn hoped Sargeras's remains would lie undisturbed there until the end of time. The Vanishing of Aegwynn. After their clash in Northrend, Sargeras began manipulating Aegwynn's thoughts. He urged her to distance herself from the Council of Tirisfal, capitalizing on concerns she always harbored about the Order. Aegwynn had recently discovered that the Council of Tirisfal's members were meddling in the politics of human nations. The mages argued that their actions were necessary, as their order had stayed in the shadows for too long. They believed that with their knowledge and wisdom, they had the power to prevent war and suffering in the mortal world. Aegwynn, however, viewed the council's secretive activities with skepticism and unease. She worried that if she stepped down, they would select a weaker guardian, someone they could manipulate for their political agendas. Therefore, Aegwynn decided to continue as the guardian beyond her initial century of service. She utilized her powers to extend her life for decades longer than would have otherwise been possible. Despite some council members being displeased with Aegwynn's decision, they accepted it because she had achieved incredible feats during her time as the guardian. Over the next 100 years, Aegwynn's relationship with the council became increasingly strained. Sargeras's subtle influence heightened her paranoia about her fellow mages. Her growing unease prompted her to construct a refuge far from the council's eyes. In the barren and remote Deadwind Pass, she built the grand tower known as Karazhan. Its location would remain a secret from the council for many years. Aegwynn would often retreat to Karazhan to work in peace and quiet. The tower also served another crucial purpose. It acted as a conduit for the potent ley lines in the surrounding region, allowing Aegwynn to siphon power when needed. As the council's aging members passed away, their powers still held by Aegwynn, new sorcerers joined the order. They continued the council's practice of meddling in the nations of the Eastern Kingdoms. Many of these new members advocated for a more hardline approach to deal with the wayward guardian and force her to relinquish her powers. During one of Aegwynn's rare visits to Dalaran, the council demanded that she step down as guardian or face immediate consequences. Aegwynn resisted their threat, declaring her outright hostility. She told the mages that entrusting Azeroth's fate to them would doom the world. Enraged by Aegwynn's behavior, the council members agreed to take action. If the guardian would not give up her powers voluntarily, they would force her to do so. The council debated how best to accomplish this, with some members proposing empowering a new guardian. However, this idea presented too many dangerous possibilities. A conflict between Aegwynn and another guardian could be disastrous for the world, and it would draw public attention to their clandestine order. Ultimately, the council settled on a more subtle course of action. They formed the Tyrus Guard, an order of mages equipped with relics and armaments capable of diminishing the Guardian's incredible powers. After years of training, these resourceful and gifted hunters set out to find Aegwynn and bring her back to Dalaran. Although the Guardian eluded many of the Tyrusguard with ease, the hunters succeeded in finding Karazhan and reporting its location back to the Council. With Karazhan no longer safe, Aegwynn magically sealed off the tower from outsiders. She then sought a new refuge, one that neither the Council nor the Tyrusguard would ever find. After much consideration, she decided to build this stronghold in the ruins of ancient Suramar, deep beneath the sea. Her dwelling, the Guardian Sanctum, would remain hidden from the Tyrusguard for centuries. The War of the Three Hammers. Far from the concealed Guardian Sanctum, High King Modimus Anvilmar and his dwarves flourished in their mountain home of Ironforge. Over the ages, trade alliances with human city-states filled Ironforge's coffers with wealth. Impressive architectural achievements, such as the stone-wrought dam, attracted curious visitors from as distant as the elven kingdom of Quel'Thalas. Despite the appearance of prosperity, tensions brewed among Ironforge's three dominant clans, the Bronzebeards, the Wildhammers, and the Dark Irons. Thane Madoran Bronzebeard led the largest faction, the Bronzebeard clan, which formed the majority of Ironforge's military and mercantile classes. They considered themselves the backbone of the kingdom, claiming distant blood relations with High King Modimus. Living in the craggy hills outside Ironforge, the Wildhammers, led by Thane Cardros Wildhammer, gained notoriety as skilled and resilient mountaineers. Disparaged by the Bronzebeard clan, the Wildhammers struggled to gain more influence with High King Modimus, and secured their place among Ironforge's ruling elite. Sorcerer Thane Thorissen governed the Dark Irons, residing in the deepest corners of the subterranean city. Their practice of sorcery and penchant for secrecy drew the ire of Ironforge's inhabitants. Thorissen controlled the kingdom's rich gem and mineral deposits, using his wealth to protect his people and secure a place in Ironforge's political arena. High King Modimus aimed to treat each clan fairly, but his inability to ease tensions led to disaster. The High King passed away from old age, and before his eldest son could be crowned, conflicts erupted in Ironforge. War ignited between the three clans as each vied for dominion of the mountain. Bloody battles raged for many long and terrible years. In the end, utilizing their martial expertise, the Bronzebeard clan triumphed, driving both the Wildhammers and Dark Irons from the mountain and achieving complete victory. Cardros conceded defeat and led his Wildhammers north. They settled in nearby marshlands, carving out the great subterranean city named Grim Battle, rivaling Ironforge in scope and prestige. Although the earlier defeat weighed heavy on Cardros' shoulders, he and his kin prospered in their new home. The Dark Irons ventured south to the Reedridge Mountains, founding the new kingdom of Thorissen. Although his people prospered, Thorissen himself wallowed in humiliation. He dreamed of one day exacting retribution upon his cousins in the north and claiming all of Cosmodin as his own. After secretly forging a new army for years, Thorissen initiated a dual-front assault against the Bronzebeard and Wildhammer clans. Personally leading the charge on Ironforge, he augmented his formidable warriors with war golems and siege engines. The invaders penetrated the city's core, but the Bronzebeards regrouped and forced them to retreat, pushing them back to Red Ridge. Thorissen's wife, the sorceress Modgud, led the Second Army against Grim Battle. The Dark Irons besieged the fortress and used dark magics to break the Wildhammer's will. Cardros led a daring counterattack and vanquished Modgud. With her death, the Dark Irons retreated south, facing the armies of Ironforge. Madoran had caught wind of the attack and brought his forces north. The Bronzebeard and Wildhammer armies crushed the Dark Irons from both sides, annihilating them. In the Dark Irons, Madoran and Cardros found a common enemy and a new purpose. They put aside their old rivalries and marched their mighty host southward, pledging they would not stop until they had purged Thorissen and his treacherous Dark Irons from the face of the world. As the Bronzebeard and Wildhammer armies drew near, Thorison scrambled for a way to defeat his enemies. He decided to draw the fiery power from deep within the world and use it as a weapon. Thus Thorison wove a great spell to save his kingdom. Yet amid his conjuration, his mind turned to the death of his wife and his recent defeats. Anger roiled through Thorison's heart. This overwhelming rage caused his spell to breach the elemental plane, connecting with Ragnaros, the Fire Lord. Unwittingly, Thorison ripped Ragnaros from the elemental plane and summoned him to the surface of Azeroth. The earth buckled and wrenched apart. The Fire Lord's violent rebirth sparked a series of apocalyptic explosions that instantly killed the sorcerer Thane and shattered the surrounding mountains. From a distance, Madoran and Cardros witnessed with horror as the world was rent apart, swallowed by firestorms. In that moment, the realization dawned that Thorison had sealed his fate and that of his people. Fearing for their safety, the Wildhammers and Bronzebeards swiftly turned north and fled. Aftermath and Reconstruction. After the War of the Three Hammers, Madoran and his people worked on rebuilding Ironforge. Cardros and the Wildhammers, on the other hand, opted to abandon grim battle. The city had been cursed by Modgut upon her death, making it uninhabitable. The Bronzebeards extended an offer for the Wildhammers to join them in Ironforge, though it was a gesture of reconciliation. Madoran understood that Cardros might be too proud to accept such an offer. As anticipated, the Wildhammer leader embarked on creating a new future for his clan. Some settled in a region called Northarin, while Cardros led the majority even farther north, into the wooded hinterlands. The memories of grim battle lingered, prompting them to reject the subterranean dwellings of the past. In the hinterlands, Cardros and his people erected Airy Peak, a majestic city high in the mountains. The Wildhammers maintained their traditional ties with the natural world, practicing shamanism and befriending griffin, intelligent creatures that inhabited the mountains. The griffins became emblematic of the Wildhammers, an integral part of their culture. Diplomatic ties were established between Madoran and Cardros, and the Thandal span was constructed as both an economic and symbolic bridge between the Dwarven territories. Despite lingering rivalries and ideological differences, the two leaders pledged never to wage war against each other again. Upon the deaths of Cardros and Madoran, their sons commissioned masons to craft 2 statues of the leaders. These statues were erected at the entrance to the Southlands, leading to the Dark Iron territories. There, the statues stood watch, overseeing the broken domain of their adversaries. Ragnaros' rebirth devastated much of the Reedridge Mountains, leaving behind Blackrock Mountain, a towering volcano. The area south of the volcano became the Burning Steppes, while the northern chasm was named the Searing Gorge. Ragnaros retreated to the molten core deep within Blackrock Mountain, enslaving the surviving Dark Irons. The dwarves obediently served their elemental master, carving out a new fortress beneath the mountain called Shadowforge City. Within this fiery home, they nursed their animosity toward the Wildhammers and the Bronzebeards. Today's episode has come to an end, and I hope you've learned something new. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this journey, and subscribe for more lore content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support keeps the flames of my narrative burning bright. I'll look forward to seeing you again next time.